Glass of water.
See if you feel like something.
I don't know how.
I can. Yeah. What? Is it time to start? You'll probably give me a. Good morning. Donna Dirth got COVID, so but we still have music, and we're going to not do some of the things that are listed in the program because they are things that Donna does. This is a service about parts, so we're going to do, and hope everybody will join in doing the Hokey Pokey, which is a song about parts. You start with your right, you put your right hand in, you put your right hand out, you put your right hand in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Left hand, you put your left hand in, you put your left hand out, you put your left hand in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. You put your right foot in, you put your right foot out, you put your right foot in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Left foot, you put your left foot in, you put your left foot out, you put your left foot in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Your backside, you put your backside in, you put your backside out, you put your backside in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Your whole self, you put your whole self in, you put your whole self out, you put your whole self in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. I think it's appropriate for looking. Right.
Never done that in church before. Good morning.
Good morning.
One more time. Good morning. Woo! Yeah. And welcome to this service and splendid autumn weather at our Keene Unitarian Universalist Church, also known as KUUC, now celebrating LGBTQIA+ month. Woo! Please join us each Sunday here in our historic 1824 sanctuary or on our YouTube live stream. Say hello to everybody out there. Hi! My name is Sherry. I'm a musician, an ally, a member of our music and worship committees, and of this exemplary fellowship since December 2023, then officially since May 2024. I am constantly and happily reminded that this is an exceptional group of people who sincerely want to be here together. I love that. And we welcome you, whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey. you are welcome here. We invite you to sign our guest book located at the front of our sanctuary. Please also join us for coffee or tea after the service in our parish hall, just through the doors to my right. Each week we designate an ambassador whom you can ask anything about our church, our faith, our community. Today, our ambassador is Carol Mills. Please stand up. Yay! We welcome all children in our sanctuary and believe the sounds they make are indeed sacred. Your cell phones, however, we appreciate more when silenced. May you find personal inspiration each week from our wide variety of events and activities. Consider participating on our various committees and generously support our many wonderful community building ventures, such as those music and art related, our Monadnock Interfaith Program, and our Multicultural Center, to name just a few of them. Please visit our website at www.kuuc.org for all of the upcoming exciting details. Thank you to all for making each of our activities and events successful. I'd like to also include yesterday's rummage sale. Thanks to everybody who put that together. It's a lot of work, right? Last month, we explored the importance of belonging. Today, we are proud to have in our pulpit the Reverend Rowan Van Ness to promote the compassionate lens through which we need to regard our present life's challenges and to expand on our message of welcome. Today, she is leading a workshop for those who have ideas about worship in the Alliance Room at 11:15, that is today. And just in a side note, our worship committee meeting will be held at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, October 7th, which is a correction from our order of service for this week and last week, which publicized it as the 5th. It's actually Tuesday the 7th. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry, and thank you especially to our musicians this morning who are doing an incredible job already with pulling our music together in Donna's absence. Our opening words this morning come to us from the Reverend Michelle Collins and are entitled "To Care Without Drowning." Some days, the world's pain floods through us like water through a broken dam. Every headline, every cry of distress becoming our own. We come here thirsty for the wisdom to care without drowning, to love without losing ourselves in the undertow of others' sorrow. Come, let us seek together the steady foundation from which true compassion flows. And I now invite Rich Clark to come forward in lighting our chalice, and also for the rest of you to find the chalice lighting words in your order of service. We kindle this flame to remind ourselves of the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. Our first hymn this morning is going to be number 134 in your gray hymn book, "Our World is One World."
Okay. Sure.
Our world is one world. What touches one affects us all. The seas that watch us round
Our membership journey is an important one, and when people sign the book here, we like to have a special opportunity to introduce them to the congregation. This past spring, we had so many people sign the book that we did a covenant and an affirmation of their membership journey in the spring, and we are now just introducing over 2 Sundays the people who joined our congregation in the spring.
Gwen, do you want to join me up here, please? And then I'm going to call up Frank Dubisky, and I'm going to call up Dan Simpkins and Rebecca McCoy, and we're going to call up the entire Brock Lawler family. Kids too, come on up. All right. Now, I know that when Frank graciously agreed to jump in as our board president, there was something in, I think, the annual meeting, a short bio, and I'm sure many of you glanced through it, but I'm just going to read it because it's very impressive, and Frank is awesome. Frank Dubisky spent 20 years in the news media, including as news director of a radio station, as an Associated Press reporter, a State House correspondent, as city editor, and then as managing editor for 2 major newspapers. He later opened his own agency, Dubisky Associates, specializing in higher education media relations. He has visited over 700 campuses around the nation, and his stories have been published in 11 major newspapers and been highlighted on Good Morning America, The Today Show, and CNN. Frank was a member of the Society of Professional Journalists and the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. He has been a speaker on the issue of media relations and higher education at many national conferences. Frank has been a volunteer in the Monadnock region for many years, serving as chair of the Monadnock United Way Board, chair of the board for Monadnock Family Services, and chair of Giving Monadnock, an organization created to enhance nonprofit organizations in southern New Hampshire. Currently, he is chair of the Monadnock Regional Coordinating Council, which oversees planning and development of public transit services. Frank lives in Keene and currently is sales manager at Thomas Transportation in Swansea, New Hampshire. And let me just say, Frank is on our communications team, our personnel team, and he is killing it as president of the board. Thank you, Frank. Okay, Rebecca and Dan are next. All right. Rebecca was raised Episcopalian in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. She enjoyed the ritual, the spiritual practice, and singing in the choir. When her children, Sarah and Ben, were young, her husband, Dan, asked her to try a UU church in northern Idaho. And Rebecca was impressed that they had hired a lesbian minister in the early 90s. Both children were baptized Episcopalian, but dedicated UU. After many years in Pennsylvania, they looked for a UU church in New England, found that Cheshire County appealed to them, and found KUUC. Rebecca studied religion and history at Mount Holyoke College, then earned her PhD at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. She had studied French from age 9 and was awarded several research grants to study in France. I was impressed that she lived by herself for a year as an au pair in Strasbourg on the German border in 1984. She was a professor at Spelman College for 2 years, one of 2 white people on campus. She also taught at the University of Idaho and then for 23 years at Lebanon Valley College in Pennsylvania in the History, Politics, Global Studies Department. Rebecca and Dan traveled often with their children. A year of study in New Zealand, followed by a crazy family van trip through Australia, then later on to Thailand, Italy, France, and Belize. Dan and Rebecca have also traveled to England and Scotland and took a 9-week do-it-yourself driving trip through South Africa. Rebecca retired in 2021. Her hobbies have included violin, piano, chamber music groups, and playing with orchestras into her 40s. She likes to garden, hike, bicycle, camp, read, and spend time with her children. She is also continuing her work as an historian, writing articles and working on a book. Her family's politically active, and she and Dan enjoy working on their 18th century fixer-upper home in Fitzwilliam. Okay, and Dan Simpkins, her husband, was introduced to Unitarian Universalism at an early age by his maternal grandmother, first in northern New Jersey and then in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was impressed that his Sunday school teacher at the UU Fellowship in Baton Rouge was an avowed atheist who nevertheless gave lessons on the Bible. After high school, Dan tried out several different areas of study at Louisiana Polytechnic University. Nothing felt quite right, and he ended up spending 2.5 years as a migrant laborer. While having a wide variety of multicultural experiences, he realized that he was interested in anthropology and wanted to study human evolution. He studied at West Georgia College, focusing on archaeology, and continued his studies at the University of North Carolina. I have to quote Dan on his biggest impression of his first lunch date with future wife, Rebecca. Quote, "I was so pleasingly astounded and impressed by her liverwurst sandwich that I asked to see her again and hoped she might one day make one of those for me. And well, boom, here we are 45 years later with 2 fascinating and talented children and 2 thriving grandchildren." Dan and Rebecca spent 7 years in Moscow, Idaho, attending the UU church there. In 1998, they moved to Pennsylvania, where Dan taught anthropology and sociology classes at Lebanon Valley College part-time. Rebecca and the children drove 25 miles to attend the UU church in Lancaster, while Dan enjoyed his lazy Sunday mornings. Dan loves nature study and literature and says he is striving towards mediocrity at the Knights Chess Club in Keene. He also finds math, physics, astronomy, and the nature of the cosmos fascinating, and he especially wonders whether there might be any kind of intentionality in natural law. Be forewarned, as he may just ask for your opinion on that topic. Good?
Okay, there we go.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Okay, I'm not afraid. Oh, okay. Moving on. I'm going to talk about Julia and Matt. Julia and Matt are from the same hometown. Julia had the same piano teacher as Matt's sister and met consequently. Music has always been a part of their lives. Matt had a band, and Julia studied and taught music and has an interest in Zumba and choir. Matt grew up in a mostly Methodist church with some Catholicism added. Julia grew up atheist. She snuck in to Matt's church through trombone and choir. Matt stopped going in his late teens, and later he missed it, but he didn't believe in the teachings. A friend suggested that the UU church was something to check out. They went to a water communion online with a friend from Oregon in 2020 and liked it. When they moved to Keene, they found KUC and got good feelings from KUC. Their oldest child, Ruthie, knew Kim from band. Julia stated that her 3 children want to go to church when their friends are there, and she added that KUC is helpful when talking to the children about political topics. She and Matt asked the children to think about the calmness and perspective of love from the church. They also like the music and thinking about things with others. Julia added, when she and Matt are at church, it's like they're on a date. They like to ski and do stuff that's new and exciting. They just get in the car and go. They also like traveling. Julia and Matt have both lived abroad, and between 2000 and 2010, they had a decade of adventuring. They traveled through Central and South America to places including Peru, Bolivia, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. Matt, Julia, Ernie, and Ruthie lived in Mexico for 5 years. While Ruthie and Ernie had friends there, Matt and Julia felt isolated. Tilly was born in Mexico. And when they returned back to the States, they found Keene. When they came to Keene, they found it to be a welcoming place, and this welcoming feeling also extends to KUC. It is here that their roots are growing.
And I'm just going to add just a couple sentences about the Lawler kids. I remembered some of the stuff from when you did the youth service back in March. So Ruthie is now in 7th grade at Keene Middle School. She likes hats, koalas, no fun socks today. Come on. She also loves to read, and she does tap, hip hop, and modern dance. At church, she likes the food at coffee hour, and she likes her RE lessons. Ernie's in 5th grade at Franklin School. He also participates in dance, enjoys hip hop, tap, and ballet. He has learned some Spanish from when the family lived in Mexico. He also likes the food at coffee hour. Tilly is in kindergarten at Franklin School. She enjoys little kid dance. Her favorite doll is called Sparkle Cupcake, and she sometimes likes to dress up in costumes. Welcome to half of our new members.
At this time, I'd like to invite all of the children to come forward for our Time for All Ages, and anyone who feels like a child at heart or would like to come forward. The story today is called Pearls in the Making, and it's by Randy Hammer. Who can tell us where pearls come from? Anyone with a hand who wants to share? Susie. Oysters. That's right. So pearls come from a particular kind of shellfish called an oyster, and they live underwater. And this is an interesting story for you about how oysters make pearls. Let me ask, have any of you ever gotten something in your eye before? What about you adults? Yes. Yeah. Lots of hands. It's pretty uncomfortable when we get something in our eye and our eyes start to water, and as we try and get that thing out. And that's actually what shellfish do too. So when certain kinds of shellfish, like oysters, get a grain of sand inside of their shell, it's also really uncomfortable for them. And so these shellfish have been designed by Mother Nature to excrete a pearly white substance to cover up that grain of sand so that it's not quite as rough and irritating. And as layer upon layer of this pearly white substance forms, it protects the shellfish against the irritant until, you guessed it, a white pearl is formed. And that's actually kind of how it is with you and me. We have been created, if you believe that, or by Mother Nature, to also make something with our lives. And as history has shown, humans have created some of the most beautiful things after times of great trouble or challenge. No one has a perfect life that is free from trouble. But when trouble or disappointment strikes, remember the shellfish, which takes the trouble and it turns it into something beautiful. So my offering for you all is to imagine that in times or moments of personal challenge or collective challenge, that we too might be able to make something beautiful out of it. And now I'd like to invite the congregation to sing our children out to their religious exploration classes. In a moment, we will be collecting the offering, and some words that I wanted to share with you all come from Mary Ellen Walden. This church is a community of ourselves. Its energy and its resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm our lives within it. The offering may now be gratefully given and received. Please join me in the offering dedication found in our order of service. We dedicate these gifts in service of our mission to actively create compassionate community and work for a fair and peaceful world. And I also just want to lift up my huge gratitude for Rich's ability to play this beautiful music on the fly like this. We are now going to get ready for our time of shared joys and sorrows, which traditionally happens in this congregation on the first Sunday of the month. In our community, we make time to share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because each person in this community has value. Each person's experiences matter. We take this sacred time to reflect on our joys and sorrows and acknowledge the mutual support of our community. If you would like, you may come forward and release a stone into the water in silence, or you may come forward and release a stone if you wish, and share something from the microphone, a brief verbal expression of a special joy or sorrow, just a sentence or two at most. If you would like to share this morning, please line up on either of the two sides of the sanctuary. Oh, I get my flight attendant moment here. There's an exit in the back, and come forward one at a time. You can speak first and then do your rock. You can do your rock and then speak, whatever works for you. And I invite us all not to be too stressed about whether or not somebody forgets. You can sneak back up if you want to put your rock, or I know it's a lot. So, and if it's a challenge for you to come forward to speak in the microphone, at the end, I'll just invite an opportunity for anyone who would like to raise their hand and I will bring the microphone over to you. All right, at this time, feel free, if you have a joy or a sorrow you'd like to share with our community, please line up on the sides.
So I have good news, and I want to make it better. We have made about $1,822 from the rummage sale so far. And there's still items left in there. I know there's meetings, but grab your coffee, take a quick look, and even if you don't want to take anything home by donation, you can just make a donation. I want to hit $2,000.
It's always good to follow another tall person.
Squeeze it, bring it. There you go.
Wow, such high tech. I'm Devorah Kelly, and my first thing is I bring greetings from my UU fellowship in Chapala, Mexico. I'm here for the month of October, and my great joy, which every time I come here I share, is to be here. I was here for 30-some years, and so many of your faces out there are like really old dear friends, not old. I have a joy mixed with a little bit of concern. My daughter has wanderlust. She spends half of her year going to different places. She left Friday for France for 2.5 months. I trust she will be fine, but as a mom, it doesn't matter how old your kids get, there's still that little bit of worry that they'll be okay. So mostly joy. And also great joy that I still stay with Carol and Jim when I come.
Good morning, I'm Carol. I just spent 2 weeks in Wyoming with my daughter, my son-in-law, and my 2 grandsons. My newest one turned 6 months on Friday, and it was my first time meeting him, so it was wonderful.
I am not a tall person. So I have 2 great joys. One is relative to the church, and the other is personal. My first joy due to the church is that of Deb McClay. She came forward to make this rummage sale the most incredibly successful one that we've had in a very, very long time. And she is just an extraordinary human being, and I'm so grateful to have her as a friend. Exactly. Yes. Yay, Deb. My second joy, which is a personal one, is that I have some of you know I have 2 sons who like to travel and go out into the world, and one is out in Colorado, which is wonderful, and one has been down in the DC area. And the one in the DC area and his fiance are moving to Connecticut in October, so I'm a very happy mom.
So I've got a whole bunch of joys and sorrows right now and concerns. So I just want to say that I'm really concerned for our country right now. Things are very scary out there. Mostly I'm concerned for our multicultural center downstairs. I'm wondering if ICE is going to come in sometime. May not happen, or it may. So I'm just always on the lookout now. It's really scary out there.
I'm sorry. My one sorrow is that Donna is sick, but somehow that led to one of my dreams coming true, which was we all danced. So that's that thing I think we're talking about. Take that sand and make it into a pearl. I wish you could have seen y'all from up here. It was.
I have a concern and love for a beloved nephew, and I put a stone in the water for Dickie Payne, who's facing an unwelcome diagnosis, and I just wish him all the courage and strength that he needs.
Hi, I'm Amy Lawler. I'm Matt's sister. I'm visiting from Chicago, and my joy is just being a part of that family. I felt very held by them. My nieces and nephews are the joy of my life. It's just so fun to be with them. I've been working with my brother. He's been teaching me a lot of construction stuff. And it's at a time in my life where I really needed that joy and I needed that family, and even this church. I've never been to a Unitarian church, but I already feel held and safe. I also want, one sorrow is that my niece Tilly could not find Sparkle Cupcake this morning. And she's very upset about it, so yeah. But I'm sure she's safe at home, but sorry she couldn't meet you all today.
I have a concern that echoes what Andy said. You know, the city that I was born in, Chicago, and that I grew up in is under military occupation for no reason other than cruelty. So.
Hi, I am Betsy. I have two concerns this morning. My companion, Alan Ansevin, has had a mild stroke. He's age 97, so you can imagine how this has been quite a setback for him. He now needs to use a walker around the house, but he fortunately was not paralyzed, but it still has had a profound effect. And he is Andrea's father, as many of you know. My second concern is regarding Sue Hay. We were doing a fun song as we started this morning when we put our whole selves in. And what I'm asking for you to do, for many of you who can do this, Sue Hay has been a major mover and shaker in the Keene community. She established Project Home, which is a migrant resettlement organization, and she also was the founder of the community kitchen. The community breakfast. But Sue is dealing with a terminal brain cancer and is undergoing chemotherapy, but she needs drivers to bring her to various appointments. And that's where I'm asking this compassionate community to show your compassion and jump in and offer to drive Susan to some of her one or two or however many medical appointments. The caring committee is establishing a driver list. And if you are interested in being on that list, we can be in touch with you to let you know of Susan's driving needs. So after the service, if you could see me or Suzanne Butcher over there, we can get your name on the list, and we'll follow up from there by email or phone. Thank you.
I'm Suzanne Butcher. I'm not quite that tall. 3 years ago in October, Larry had just been diagnosed with lymphoma, and we were scared. He just had his last maintenance treatment, and we're looking forward to many, many years of remission.
I'm adding a final stone, knowing that all of us carry many joys and sorrows in our hearts that we haven't shared aloud with one another, but making room for all of those. We have a sung response today, our hymn 1031. You may remain seated. You'll find it in your teal hymn book. It's called Filled with Loving Kindness.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole.
Our reading this morning comes from the late Andrea Gibson. The more we change, the more we must commit to loving the people we were before we changed. The most transformative moment in my journey these past years was realizing that new me wasn't extending love to old me. This realization hit me in the middle of the night. I woke up and saw that I didn't just dislike old me, I was terrified of old me. I feared returning to being anxious, blaming, defensive, and closed off. That night, I began to understand something profoundly powerful. In rejecting who I had been, in pushing that person away, I was caught in a resistance that would do nothing but recreate old me. The harder I tried to sever ties with the person I had been, the more I found myself embodying that self. Only when I began to offer old me compassion, kindness, and love did a more permeating sense of freedom begin to emerge. When we hate ourselves, we suck all of the air and the light out of the room of our being, and nothing can grow without air and light. As I reflect on this journey, I see that true healing requires integration, not rejection. The path to becoming more open doesn't lie in casting aside the versions of ourselves we no longer wish to be. It lies in honoring them, thanking them, and embracing them with tenderness. Each version of ourselves is a stepping stone, a necessary chapter in the unfolding of who we are. As some of you know, this month our theme is cultivating compassion. So you will see these themes of compassion in many of the services throughout the month. True healing requires integration, not rejection, wrote Andrea Gibson. The path to becoming more open doesn't lie in casting aside the versions of ourselves that we no longer wish to be. It lies in honoring them, thanking them, and embracing them with tenderness. Somehow, this is wisdom that I need again and again and again. Even if I'm trying to be a better person, a better minister, a better wife, a better mother, a better friend, a better me, finding a way to love the version of myself that I am trying to move away from is critical in actually becoming the person that I want to be. A couple of summers ago, I picked up a book by Dr. Becky Kennedy called Good Inside that got me thinking about where people's inner critics come from and also how they are formed. She also has some strategies for how people can think about shifting patterns of thinking, both for oneself and as a parent, or a teacher, or a coach, or a leader. Dr. Becky, as she's often known, writes, how we talk to ourselves when we are struggling inside, the self-talk of, don't be so sensitive, or I'm overreacting, or I'm so dumb, or alternatively, I'm trying my best, or I simply want to feel seen. It's based on how our parents spoke to us or treated us in times of struggle. Part of her premise, as you might guess, is that we are all good inside. Undesired behavior is because of a good person having a hard time right now. When children, or I would argue even us adults, are acting out, it is often because we are having a hard time. She included a few examples in her book, which I found particularly evocative. And I want you to take a moment to think of yourself and what comes up for you in this particular example. Imagine you are a 3-year-old whose baby sister just came home from the hospital. Your family says you should be happy about your new sibling, but you're having trouble with all of the changes. You say something like, I hate her, take her back to the hospital. What happens next? I can imagine a parent responding to that 3-year-old saying, that's no way to talk about your sister, she's part of our family, or don't worry, you'll learn to like her, you just need to get used to her. I can also imagine someone saying gently, a lot has changed this week, hasn't it? Or, what's the hardest part about having a new sister? The responses that first come to mind are often ones that were taught to us, but they were probably also taught to the people who taught them to us. They may have been intentional, or they may have come out of a place of anger or compassion or something else. Messages about our unwanted behaviors like, you know better, and why do you have to make things so hard? And if you don't stop, fill in the blank, you'll be in trouble. They inherently mean cutting off a person from love and support in a time of dysregulation and emotional distress. I don't know about you, but I find it a lot harder to feel regulated when I am cut off from love and support. It means I have to find the resources within myself to regulate from inside rather than from receiving that. And then on top of that, I'm getting this feedback that makes me have to work extra hard because I'm feeling reactive to what I'm being told. And if these are things that you say or you've said in the past, or you're thinking you've said things that are much worse, I also want to say that it's okay. I have 2 pieces of good news for you. One is that repairing relationships is more important than making mistakes, even years later. Dr. Becky has examples in her book of people decades later having conversations with their parents, or the parents initiating a conversation with their grown children and being able to repair relationships. And the second piece is that we can change the way that we talk to ourselves and others. We can also practice offering ourselves and those around us validation and empathy when we or when they fall short. I say practice because I know that it's not always automatic and that it takes effort. And neuroscientists have learned that we continue to wire and rewire our brains throughout the entirety of our lives. We can build new neuropaths and create new patterns of thoughts and behavior. This is also true if you have been saying these kinds of things to yourself. And if you haven't, please tell me your secret. Another one of Dr. Becky's tools is offering the most generous interpretation of both our own behavior and of other people's. This is a tool that I have actually found really helpful. Let's go back to the idea that we have a 3-year-old who says that they hate their baby sister and they want them to go back to the hospital. But this time, imagine you are a parent. You might be thinking, wow, my kid hates their sister and she's only been here for a week. Or, how am I raising such a rude and inflexible child? A most generous interpretation might be, I imagine my child is having a really hard time sharing her parents with her new sister. I know she's good inside, and it seems like she's really struggling right now. Shifting behavior with the most generous interpretation means shifting from assuming that a person is doing or saying something because they don't care about you or their sister, or because they are bad, to imagining that the undesired behavior is because of a good person having a hard time right now. I know that I have my own moments of feeling frustrated or short with someone, and that when I am able to think, instead of taking that like quick angry email that I might be feeling inside of me, but if I'm able to take that breath and say, I wonder what's going on for this person, that really allows me to open up to more possibilities and more curiosity. Andrea Gibson wrote, in rejecting who I had been, in pushing that person away, I was caught in a resistance that would do nothing but recreate old me. Perhaps she too was learning how to accept and appreciate why she used to be the way that she had been. And when we aren't able to love and accept ourselves for who we are and who we've been, it's really hard to have empathy for other people who are in those same places or even similar places. There's another theoretical model that's sometimes used in therapy, sometimes it's used in chaplaincy. It's called internal family systems, or IFS for short. Out of curiosity, have any of you heard of this before? Maybe a dozen of you or so. I have found this to be an incredibly helpful tool to be able to offer self-compassion to myself. And I hope that for those of you who've also encountered it, or those of you who are about to listen to what I'm going to say, might also find it a helpful framework. This model supposes that we all have multiple parts within ourselves. For example, I might feel like a part of me wants to, my plans for this afternoon, go apple picking with my family on my way home. And there's a part of me that might just want to drive right home and rest, put up my feet. We have different parts within us that are wanting and needing different things. And they're all serving our deeper core selves. There are 3 kind of main categories of the roles that are offering protection within this model. And they're protecting our core self, which is our self when we are feeling calm and confident and curious and centered and creative and lots of other words that start with the letter C. And the first part is maybe the most intense, and those are our exiles. Those are the parts, our inner child, the parts that feel like we are too much for other people, or maybe we're not enough, or they hold a lot of shame about some aspects of who we are for whatever reason. And they are often the parts that we most want to reject and get rid of and wish we could just do away with, and maybe they even hold some trauma. The two other parts are the managers and the firefighters, and they're both kinds of protectors that are working to kind of keep those exiles at bay, thinking that the exiles might destabilize our system. Managers are the ones that are proactively keeping everything in control, as it sounds like. They might be controlling parts, they might be controlling people or situations. They might judge someone else before they can judge us. Sometimes they can feel really helpful. One manager might be trying to get me moving so I won't be late to something, while another manager might be working so that I'm not too early and feeling awkward about showing up too early and not knowing what to say. The firefighter parts, our last category, are a different kind of protective part, and these are the ones that tend to be impulsive and reactive and fast acting. These are the ones that are really trying hard to prevent us from feeling too much pain or distress. They're trying to keep us from feeling overwhelmed. They might show up for us by as dissociating so that we don't feel so much pain, or sometimes they engage in things that are not always healthy or helpful, like drinking alcohol with the purpose of numbing pain, or scrolling through one's phone so that you don't have to be present to whatever it is that's happening around you or inside of you. All of these protector parts, though, they're working really hard to try and keep our whole selves safe and in control. And sometimes it's easy to feel annoyed when these parts are coming up, that we don't always like the parts of us that are nitpicking or avoiding or micromanaging or acting in ways that we know aren't as healthy for us. But I find it much easier to have compassion for these parts when I can be curious about what role they might be playing for me, how they might be trying to help me hold things together. The IFS model invites us to be curious as to why we might feel the ways that we feel, befriending our different parts, listening to what they have to say. This might even involve asking them to take a step back or to let you try doing something differently once you understand why that part is showing up in the way that it is. And going back to what Andrea Gibson said, when we're able to honor these parts and thank them and embrace them with tenderness, it is easier to accept ourselves for who we've been on our path to becoming who we are now. And I also find it a lot easier to extend that empathy towards other people as well. The theologian Henry Nouwen talks about 5 lies of identity. They are: 1, I am what I have. 2, I am what I do. 3, I am what other people say or think of me. 4, I am nothing more than my worst moment. And 5, I am nothing less than my best moment. Something that the tools of self-compassion offer us, like in both Dr. Becky's work and in the IFS model, is the chance to move beyond a single story of ourselves, a single narrative of who we are stuck in a particular moment in time. Caitlin, my wife, who also gave me permission to share this story, used to call herself a cruise director earlier in our relationship because she was always trying to get us out of the house on time. To her, this was a negative story. Her parents hated that she would cajole them to get them moving. But for me, I love this about her. I love that we're able to do so many fun things as a family because she keeps us moving towards them. Okay, we need to get our snacks together. We need to get our shoes. And my 3-year-old and I are both lollygaggers and often distracted by whatever it is in front of us. Ooh, maybe we should read this book before we go. And maybe I'm actually hungry now and need the snack now before we put on the shoes instead of bringing it with us. And Caitlin is able to better appreciate that cruise director part of herself when she's able to understand why she played that role in her family of origin, that her parents weren't getting her to the places that she wanted to be on time. And so she needed to be the one to get them moving, and they didn't like being told that by a child. And I can appreciate that and have been able to help her see that as a gift. Recognizing whether that comes from somebody else telling you or whether it's something you can unpack for yourself and understand why you are the way you are, why you're acting in those ways, and that you're telling yourself a story, maybe a negative story. It allows us to get some perspective. It also, in this case, allows Caitlin and I to talk about it so that I too can, maybe lollygag a little less and figure out what my parts in getting us out the door can be so that she doesn't need to hold that role alone. We are not just what we have. We are not just what we do. We are not who we are at our best or our worst moments. There's always more to each and every one of us, no matter how good or bad we feel in a given moment. And practicing offering compassion to ourselves helps us to be compassionate with other people. Practicing how we offer compassion to others, in turn, helps with our own self-talk. Strengthening the muscles of compassion helps us to cultivate our muscles of compassion. That's it. And I think especially in this time, especially when I'm hearing and holding for myself and for you all of the pain and the struggle of the world, it is extra important for us to be doing that work of having compassion for ourselves about our limitations of what we can do and what we cannot do, and so that we can do the things that we are able to do best. This month, we have a whole month to practice cultivating compassion with ourselves, with each other, through this theme, and I encourage all of us to begin with ourselves. Remember, you are enough just as you are, and we do the best that we are able to do. May it be so. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing hymn number 348, Guide My Feet, in your gray hymn book.
You'll recognize it. You want to just start right on it?
Okay, sure.
Okay. Okay. 1, 2.
Self-compassion, everyone.
Oh, I have 349.
Oh, no, 348. Oh, sorry. Can you see that?
I can see that.
Can you? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Well, it was for another time.
349 would be really good too, but 348 is what we're singing.
Okay.
Okay.
This one, you know this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just start at the beginning and I'll play it
Sure.
once and then we'll go.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll play it once. The best.
Can you say that to the mic?
Rich is going to play it once, and then we will all sing.
And then you're going to join in.
Right.
So here I go. Let's try it.
Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in
We are now going to extinguish our chalice. You can find the chalice extinguishing words in your order of service. Rich, would you like to continue your multitasking? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with the world until we are together again. And in this time, I would like to wish you all a wonderful week in which you can be self-compassionate with yourselves, compassionate with others, and to hold that sense of curiosity whenever you notice anger or grief or other emotions coming up. May it be so. And an extra thank you right now, especially for Rich and for Carl, for holding the music down for us on literally the last minute's notice this morning. So thank you again.